Everybody, welcome back. We're doing another Marvel Future Revolution video. In this one, we are going to be ranking the best character in the game. We go through the PvE and the two versions of PvP as well, group and solo. Give them some rankings and get an overall average rank. So we'll walk through each of that. And by the way, it includes our guy here, Wolverine. That's right. We're going to talk about how he's going to rank up as well. So let's get to it.
Me WolverThor.
All right, so I've got Widow. She's just playing in the corner for some, little animations while we talk through this, and then I got the spreadsheet above it. Basically, like I said, I've got a couple different columns here where it's going to be. This is our PvE or we got PvP solo, PvP group, and PvE. All right, so I put those there so you guys could see them at the bottom, a little bit easier. So obviously you see our bottom tier characters here. I'll go through them one by one, talk to you about it. But Captain Marvel, I think, is still towards the bottom. She does have some abilities that I think need to be explored. I'm talking to some folks about that right now. She's much better, but right now I was not comfortable placing her any higher than this just because I'm not fully through kind of talking through that, vetting that a little bit, and seeing some tests. So still got Captain Marvel all the way at bottom with the overall rank at 11. Doctor Strange came in at number 10. He was a little bit higher before. I think, where did he rank up last time? Yeah, not much, but he was at 7th. So, Doctor Strange, PvP solo, 9.5. You'll see the halves and stuff because sometimes I'll do ties. Don't get hung up necessarily on like the specific numbers. It's just sort of for funsies. I think, well, I did struggle a little bit thinking he'd be better higher up, or he could be higher up, because I've run into some decent ones, and some of those who really have mastered the iframes and hit hard are actually pretty good, but I had him at 9.5. PvP group, I have a little bit higher. I know we don't love that alt, but there is some annoyance with the confusions and all that, where folks can either, even though the points don't go to you, they can still kill themselves, and you can easily make sure they stop targeting you potentially if there's a big group. So I had them decent in there. Now the biggest drop off from I think I had is PvE. I think I was letting some of the larger Doctor Stranges that I was playing with kind of jade that thought of how high that could and should be. So I dropped him down quite a bit. You'll see that he's a little bit higher here than Captain Marvel, but very similar to Spoiler Magic, who's just above him. Magic, I've got 9.5 at PvP solo. There seemed to be some sort of like stealth nerf to her. She was at the top end really, really, really good, but something seemed to have happened. I don't know exactly what it is, but just not feeling it. Something missing there. PvP group, I've got as a 10. I just don't think she makes much of an impact there. Now, the massive ones, like truly, truly massive ones, can be really hard to kill in Omega War and PvP solo, frankly. But I think to get a character that high and still, I like to look at like equivalent rankings. And I think when you've got a Magic that high and another character is similar ranking, or power level, I just don't see her doing it. Now, I did have her quite a bit higher on PvE. This is the similar rank to what we had last time. I just think that she's got a lot of things that she can bring to the table as far as helping with support and do some actual decent damage. So, her overall rank there, our average rank is an 8. So Star-Lord is dropped significantly. I had him quite a bit higher. Now, this is before the stealth, or not the stealth, the nerf that he's coming with elemental damage. PvP solo, I think you could still sort of argue he might be number 1, but we've got some new characters in here. There's some things I'm going to throw in later. We'll talk about that as we go. I think he falls off significantly in group because he is such a glass cannon, and those dodge moves into his heavy attacks and then iframes, it doesn't work as well in PvP group. I think he does decently, but he's just so glass cannony in that he can easily be taken down. Even if you're a gigantic Star-Lord, you can't hold points very well. PvE, he dropped quite a bit as well. I probably should have saved that a little bit for after the change to elemental damage, but I have him at 7.5, similar to Doctor Strange. He's probably honestly a little bit higher than that, but I still had him there. You'll see the ones above it. And then so an overall average rank is 6.8. I think that that in itself is a little bit surprising. But above him, I've got Captain America, Pve Solo. He's below Star-Lord at a 5.5. I still think he's one of the best top-end characters, but I think that tank mode with him, I don't know. I think some of the things are going to change a little bit. PvP group, though, I still have him as number 1. I think he's fantastic. Just the fact he can hold points. If you're worried about, getting CC'd, check out that PvP build video that I did with the Captain America. Spoiler, use a certain companion that removes buffs and makes you immune. PvE, I had him a little bit higher last time because some Captain Americas do pretty well, but I think there's just too many characters above him, so I had to drop him down to 10. Overall rank 5.5. So you can see there's pretty big, these down here are pretty bit, they're decently below even Cap at 7. So the ones above him, they're all kind of equal. So, and even Star-Lord, the reason he dropped so much is because I really gave him a bad ranking here with PvP group. And obviously I could have done a little bit better with PvE or higher with PvE, but I didn't want to. All right, Storm's at 6. There's a movement out there, Justice for Storm. It's all out there. So I'm expecting all those Justice for Storm commenters to be below and making sure that you mentioned that I said that, right? I think it matters. So Pve Solo, basically she's got the bubble build. I've got her pretty low, worse than Captain America, better than Magic and Doctor Strange. Same thing with PvP group. I actually think she's much better in PvP Solo than group. But the bubble build Storms, they can do pretty decently there, but if they're by themselves or if there's a number of people against them, they don't hold up very well. She's the best student in PvE. It's just, she is. You can see these different ranks here again. They're basically equal rank wise. At 5, Scarlet Witch. So I've got her PvP Solo at 2.5. You'll see who she's tied with and you'll see who's above her when we get there. But she, I think, is going to explode on the PvP scene once Transmute happens and more people start playing with her. She is insanely good. I think a lot of people, if they're not aware of her, will be once that can happen and more people got her build up. PvP group, I think she falls off a little bit. Her alt is not, it is a death sentence in PvP groups. I do not build towards that. Even with dodging, she leaves herself too vulnerable. I think that's something that are going to eventually change. I could see some adjustments happening with her, which I think are going to make some people mad, but I don't want to give too many ideas there. PvE, I've got her ranked a little bit lower than what I'd like, but you can see she's also tied with Star-Lord and Doctor Strange. So that's part of that is also a factor of who I think might be just ahead of her. But she's a really, really top-notch student. Again, very similar to these other two, so you're kind of splitting hairs when you're talking about overall rank against them. Next up, Spider-Man. So he jumped up a little bit in one of these rankings because I used to have him a little bit lower. PvP Solo, I have him tied with Scarlet Witch. It's like, okay, well, who's better than those two? We'll get to it. But those, I actually think Scarlet Witch can smoke Spider-Man in Solo, but when you got the paper, rock, scissors things going on, I think that, they're about equal. I think Spider-Man's a little bit better in PvP group, mainly because I think that, and I might regret that actually now that I'm just thinking about it, because she can do silences and some things for some support section. I just think he hits so hard and can stay away from people so easily. One Spider-Man can carry an entire Omega War. I have not seen that happen or heard of that happening with actually really good and big Scarlet Witches that are on servers that have, that are really competitive. So, and then at the PvE, I've got Spider-Man tied with Scarlet Witch, Star-Lord, and Doctor Strange. He used to be a lot lower. I had him at like 9 or 10 before. I've got him a bit higher because mainly my guy Halfsend played around with him quite a bit, and I think has come together with some pretty good PvE builds, which again, shout out to those videos. Check those out. I shot a couple of them, one specifically with Halfsend, which is a longer deep dive, and then one that's more just the point of the graphic. So he gets a little bit of a boost there over this 5 crew, this tier. That's kind of your mid-tier characters. These are sort of your bottom tier, and then Star-Lord's creeping up on that mid-tier one. Next up, Black Widow. Black Widow, I have lower in the PvP solo. I think I got her with Captain America. I think some people will still like her as a top notch, but again, I think you'll see that I've got, you know, Spider-Man, Scarlet Witch, and Star-Lord as the only characters outside of another one in front of her. I think that's pretty fair, frankly. And when you go in a group, there are some really good Widows out there in group, but I think Spider-Man seems to do better. Captain America, again, that's support. We'll see who else I had in front of her. We'll get to it shortly. Probably start figuring some of that stuff out, but he's also tied with Scarlet Witch. There, that one, yeah, I mean, they're all pretty, these three are all pretty fairly even, to be honest with you. Black Widow, she's one of the top tier PvE tunes, period. Like, she does really good. I see her smoke, you know, people who are much higher than her because some of those crits and the alts. It makes sense. Mamba's one of the best out there, just crits for days. Again, very similar to some of these as far as tier player. Iron Man, still at the top 5, but one gigantic drop off that he's got here is PvP Solo. I dropped him so far on this. He's fallen off a big time. I think still some of the mid-tier early game Iron Man do pretty well, and I think overall as a character, he's one of the best free-to-play, easy to learn, auto type characters in the game. But once you get to that top tier where, you know, you live a little bit longer and you don't get killed pretty right away, he falls off pretty heavily. PvP group, I still think he's one of the top in the game. I just think that, frankly, he is a beast in wars. I mean, just all of the AoE, everything that's going on there, he's too beastly. And then PvE, I still think he's, you know, top notch. Is he better than Widow? I don't know. It's arguable. You could probably argue both ways a little bit. You could probably say Widow's probably better, but I got him at 2.5 with, you know, again, these three are all pretty similar. And who's left? You know I had to do it. You know I had to do it because I'm going to set myself up for disappointment. Wolverine. I got is the #1 character in the game. Part of that is fun. I'm not going to lie. This is before he's even released. But I always like to do this where I speculate these and I just go, you know what? This is a guess. This is what I think they're going to do. Everybody, oops, wrong color. Everyone loves Wolverine, but I highlight him so I know it's pre him being in the game. I think PvP Solo, I think he's going to find a way to lock people down, bleed them, and just rip them to shreds. Group, I actually thought maybe they wouldn't make him super strong, but I have a feeling that maybe they're going to let him sort of dash around a little bit and do a lot of different AoEs, just with the concept of that he can get around a bit and are like spinning with his blades, and he's like doing tons and tons of heavy damage. And then PvE, I actually was thinking, you know, he's probably not going to be a great PvE tune. I thought he might even be lower than this, but I was like, you know what? I need to get him up there. I need to have him way higher, which would be an average rank of 2.5, which frankly would be unbalanced based on what I got here. You really want to get, if I'm Netmarble shooting for this, you know, this is the range you'd like your players to think everybody's in. Is about there. Anybody above that, too much, too OP. Anybody below this is a buff. That should be the way they're looking at it. That's the way I looked at it, which clearly has got to be right? So yeah, had a little bit of fun with it. Obviously, we don't know exactly how Wolverine's going to turn out yet, but I always love to speculate this. I want to hear what your comments are below. One, on the general overall rankings on this, maybe a specific category, how you'd change it, let me know. I like that in the comments. I mentioned a Discord in every video. It's in the description below. It's a great way to chat, talk with the community, bring any of these sort of things up. Let me know what you think about Wolverine, how good you think he's going to be when he enters the game. Appreciate you making it this far. If you want to hammer down the like button to help out that YouTube algorithm, watch any of the videos that might be popping up. Appreciate that. Notification bell, subscribe. And until next time, hope you have a wonderful day.